Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first session of day 2 of NAB Show 2025. My name is Alexander Lee. I'm the lead news writer at GamesBeat. Very pleased to be kicking off the session with you guys today. So today's session is going to be about Smosh and the creator economy. I think it's no secret at this stage that creators are firmly at the center of popular culture. And to me, this keynote, the fact that we're sitting here, is really one of the strongest examples of that yet. I'm here on the main stage of one of the biggest broadcasting conferences in the world. I have some stats in front of me. I'm hearing there's over 12,000 total registrants in attendance from 100 countries. 61% of you are here for the first time, including myself. And, you know, in front of a conference of this scale, Smosh is presenting. I think this is evidence that creators and the creator economy have hit the big time. If you didn't already believe it, then I think it's very clear now. If you're not familiar with Smosh, and I highly doubt that, they are one of the biggest YouTube collectives in the world and are really synonymous with creators. For me, growing up, as a kid 20 years ago, I probably watched Smosh's videos for countless hours. And they are really a reflection of the trajectory of Smosh is really a reflection of the growth and evolution of YouTube itself as a creator platform, which isn't to say that Smosh is limited to YouTube. They've really moved beyond and become a collective that a bona fide production company that publishes content across all platforms. And I think it's really thanks to the leadership of the folks sitting next to me today that Smosh has attained this success. So I'm very pleased to introduce Kiana Parker, who is Smosh's Executive Vice President of Programming, and Amanda Barnes, Smosh's Executive Vice President of Production, for a wide-ranging conversation about the evolution and trajectory of both Smosh and the creator economy at large. Let's just give a quick round of applause to these guys for coming here. Thank you. So before we kick off in earnest, I have a quick sizzle reel just to give a little more information about Smosh. So why don't we just run that really quick?
It was the NBA.
Oh.
I'm being told it's like the WNBA, but all dudes. Well, boys.
Okay, I don't like that.
I'm wet to my bushes expanse.
A Chili's triple dipper.
We're not playing it right.
Seeing a lot of landing.
Oh my God, you just got hit by a pinball. What exactly is math?
I'm here with the K-pop Demon Hunters.
That's amazing.
Hello, my name is Bob. I just do a weird voice.
Where am I? Making a symphony in my mouth.
That's unfair. She made those. I need to calm down. Everything's fine.
Amanda.
I'm an adult.
My daughter's friend in elementary school was actually her sister. Update!
Wow. That was awesome. We have to follow that?
All we do is scream.
We
scream a lot.
Well, feel free to scream on stage if you want.
We're good.
So before we kick off, I wanted to give you guys a chance to just quickly introduce yourselves and talk a little bit more about what you do at Smosh. Kiana, you want to kick it off?
Yeah, so I'm the Executive Vice President of Programming. I oversee the team that makes a lot of most of the content you saw today. I've been at the company for about 6.5 years now, and I started as the channel manager, so really deep into analytics and strategy, and then shifted into creative and ended up here. So yeah, I'm excited to be here today.
Thank you for being here. Amanda?
I'm Amanda Barnes. I'm the EVP of Production, so I oversee all the production and post-production. So that's camera, sound, production department, post, so editors, IT, and art department as well, art and wardrobe. So basically all the things that make the machine move. Sort of my thing. I've been there for a little over 2 years, and I started as a first AD on set, and here I am.
Yeah. It's like I'm the ideation side of the company and Amanda's the execution. So yeah, that's how we work together.
Smosh's content strategy is born right here. And Kiana, really quick, you've been at Smosh for 7 years, right?
Yeah, 7 years in February.
Okay, so you guys have both, collectively, you have years of experience at this company and you've seen the evolution over the last decade. I mean, like I said, I started watching Smosh when I was in middle school. And at the time, it was two guys, Anthony and Ian, the founders, who are both still very heavily involved with the company, just making videos of themselves lip syncing the Pokemon theme song in their bedroom, and it was hilarious. And now, as you can see, it's a high production content studio that has a whole collective of talent. So, in your opinion, what defines the current era of Smosh now, and how is that a logical evolution from those kind of grungy early days that we all saw?
I would say a lot more people involved, and we're definitely making a lot longer content. Like the Pokemon theme song video is maybe like 3 minutes max. Our average video length today is about like 30 to 40 minutes on the low side.
Yeah, if it's under a certain amount of time, we get complaints.
Yeah, and if it's long enough, we get compliments. So
yeah, it kind of flies against what you hear. All I heard coming in was like, oh, short form, people only want short form. People's, their attention spans are shot. Nobody's interested in anything. And it's like, the longer they are, the more they love us, apparently. Yeah.
In terms of the talent and the content itself, I mean, is it like just a longer version of what we would see from Smosh in the older days, or has the nature of the content shifted as well?
I would say that like the earlier days of YouTube was very jump cut heavy, get to the fat, like, get to the meat, not the fat. And now we leave more of that in, and I think we like let our content breathe a lot more. They're seeing behind the scenes, you're seeing like the bloopers, a lot of those things that are in that sizzle were things that were just organic fun moments that I'm sure would have made it in, but like, we had to get to the point, and that's what we were taught as like content strategy. Whereas now we really learned like how to let our content breathe, and it's changed the nature of the content, right? It's more sedated. It's more like you can put it on in the background. You don't need to see every single big moment because they're happening so fast. Like you can kind of like let it happen and get to those peaks and valleys.
I think that where we are now kind of has to give a nod to where we've been.
Yeah.
Because like you said, the company, we've got a 20-year legacy, right? That's crazy for YouTube, really for any company, much less a media company, much less a YouTube, So I think you have to have kind of a sense of humor about where you've been and acknowledge some of the things that we've done and still, reference those in videos, but then be ambitious about where we go next. So it's kind of about honoring where you've come from while wanting to try new things to, what people want to watch changes, right? So you kind of got to be tuned into that. Kiana specifically has to really be plugged into what people want to see. And we have to find a way that suits our specific comedic voice to deliver on like the promise of that premise, right?
So I mentioned, Anthony and Ian, the founders, are compared to a lot of other, and I'd love to hear you guys elaborate on this, but my understanding is that compared to a lot of other creator-founded production companies, those two are very hands-on, I think, compared to some of the others in this space. I'm curious, how do you balance the fact that this company is really built around fandom of these two people while bringing in new talent and trying to build fandom of those individuals as well?
We've outnumbered them. That's the strategy. No, but I think that like the expansion happened really slowly over time. Like we blinked, it feels like, and now we have like 12 cast members. I think that's like the number we go with.
Yep.
But it was over time, and we really like introduced people carefully over different eras and periods of time. But I think that now it's just, you think of Smosh, and if you're caught up, you think of the whole group rather than just the two of them.
It's really interesting too, because when we go to VidCon or even people that I know in my own life, right? My younger brother's 8 years younger than me. His old school Smosh is completely different. It's not Ian and Anthony. His old school Smosh is like Shane and Damien, and Courtney, who are still involved with the company, right? So when we go and we meet fans, I had my first VidCon last year, and I was very surprised at the range of ages of our fan base. It was kind of surprising to me. And I think that you roll people out carefully and thoughtfully, like Kiana was saying, and that helps, it's so you're not just, you don't want to like drop a goldfish into a cold aquarium, right? You got to kind of like let everybody acclimate a little bit. And so I think that doing that carefully and thoughtfully is helpful. Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not cutting you off.
Oh, no.
I mean, it's really interesting, and it actually gets at another one of the questions that I had prepared for this, which is, what role do quote unquote legacy fans of Smosh play in shaping the future of the company? I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it sounds like there isn't really like a single defined legacy fan of Smosh at this point.
No, I think it's hard to put a pinpoint on what legacy is for different people. I think there's always like, well, going back to something we talked about in our pre-call was like we really, under Allie's leadership, our CEO, who can be here today, we got together and we now have a company mission statement, which is to make people laugh through comedy rooted in friendship. And that mission statement came from looking at what we've done. And Ian and Anthony are friends, and like that's where this all started. And so I think that we take that core and we expand that to everything that we produce, and like we're holding our content against that standard for anything we make.
And when we're looking at, new pieces of programming, if we're not sure where it lies, we compare it to that mission statement. Is this comedy rooted in friendship? That's where we start.
And I love saying that.
And we love saying that.
I love weaponizing that.
But yeah, it's like, if it doesn't fit that mission statement, then it might not be the right thing for us at that moment. And I think that that's a through line and a mission statement that was built by looking at the legacy of the company, saying like, what's the common thread throughout? What are people relating to? And it's just like any other company in that way, right? It's like, what's the common thread? We absorbed, Smosh like now. We just rolled out, this was Anthony Padilla's company, that when, the guys bought the company back, he came with his own channel, right? It was called Press Alike. And Kiana's done tremendous work in kind of getting their, rebrand going. And part of that is making sure that, that channel, it's like, how do we keep what they have, but also make it fit under the ethos of Smosh?
Yeah, which was a challenge because, if you're familiar with that channel, it's Anthony Padilla's channel. He had a show called I Spent a Day With on there, and a lot of it sometimes got really heavy in a way that we would never make because it's not comedy for sure. But I think that we talked to the team and even they were like, yeah, we could keep doing more of this, but this doesn't make us happy. It doesn't bring us joy. And it's like, okay, like, and so we had a lot of meetings, figuring out how do we bridge that gap of what's like genuine interview content. It doesn't have to be like we're trying to be comedic. No one has to be like a professional, but it's lighter hearted. You still get the comedy POV of Smosh, but we can have like a real conversation. And I think we've struck that balance.
Yeah. And then it's how do we make that work with our ethos once the creative is aligned and the ethos works, and how do we execute it and how do we integrate that into our normal workflow process as well?
So, I mean, I love that statement that it's comedy rooted in friendship, and not to, obsess about Anthony and Ian. That's the legacy fan that I am, but it is their friendship that sort of is the root of this. So just to check in, like, what is their current specific role in like the operation of the company and the content, I should ask?
Yeah. So, right now, Anthony is not on screen a whole lot. He's very involved, in the background though. Things he might not even realize that he cares about deeply. The leadership team, all of us, we check in once a week. We have a regular meeting that everybody attends, to make sure that we're all kind of in lockstep with the vision of the company. Ian is in content a lot. He's on screen a lot, and exploring, stand-up comedy more as well, which is great. So, it's awesome.
If you catch us live ever, we've been forcing Ian to do type vibes as opening statements, and he's been having fun with that.
Yeah, we did it to keep him humble, but he's doing really well.
Yeah. So. Prepare for a lot of train jokes, but it works. Yeah. People love it.
Choo choo. So let's talk about the live shows. You guys just had a big live show in Montreal, right? Can I hear a little bit more about that part of the business and how it's evolved?
Yeah. So, with our agents, we were reached out to from Just for Laughs in Montreal. And we sponsored the New Faces Creators competition, or showcase rather. And in doing that, we also had the opportunity to do 2 shows there, which is great. It was like our biggest venue to date, sold out. Amanda and I sat in the house for the first show, and I think it was when Shane walked out with the iPad, and the screams in the room were deafening, and we were just like, where are we? This is a mistake. I forgot my earplugs. Like, it was really cool to see, like.
It was like when Rafiki holds Simba up.
Yeah, but it was like Shane with an iPad. I was like, did we start a cult? That's crazy.
A lot. Yeah. It was a lot.
But yeah, it's been really fun, like translating Reddit stories, our big podcast show, for the stage. I think, that show is a labor of love, and it's one of those things that I originally came up with because I thought it'd be easy, and in doing it, I realized how hard it really is. It's a really big game of mental gymnastics of finding stories that are like, again, comedy rooted in friendship and not too heavy, and not like the really bad side of Reddit where like there is no happy resolution, but like you still want real stories, but so it's finding that balance, but then also like now we have to manage not bumming out a room of people in real life and not having anything that's like too controversial. So definitely keep it like lighter for the stage shows, but it's a fun game and a fun puzzle to play with. And we're doing another show, next month in Chicago.
In Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of a few different formats that we've done live. We've really kind of explored what it means to put on a live show and how to connect to fans in a different way. So we've done Reddit stories live. We've done Smosh Mouth live. We've done we acquired a great show that we love that called We're All Gonna Die. And that one is like it's kind of the mechanics of a tabletop RPG. It's a storytelling game led by George Primavera and rotating different cast. That one has been particularly interesting and fun and tricky because it's got a higher on-stage production value. So lighting cues, it's primarily improvised, sound design, bespoke Jenga tower. It's a lot of fun, but kind of figuring out, how do we introduce this type of new format and property and explore options of touring? How do we make that? We work in California. So like, how does that work? Creating a tour co and building up the logistics from scratch. And so that's something that I've been working on to say like, all right, here's a format that we've pioneered on our channel. People are responding to it. Deciding at what point we try to take that out and make it live. Originally we had one show in Montreal. We sold out in seconds, I believe. It was like 1,400 seats.
Yeah.
So we added a second show.
Yeah.
And that's telling, right? That lets us know that there's a market, for that kind of thing. And how do we do it? How do we keep it fun? That's important,
Yeah. And I would say this is kind of like our second evolution of like live performance. We really started with digital live streamed events. I think a lot of those companies emerged post COVID, bringing entertainment to home. And for us, starting in that way made a lot of sense because we have the at home audience and now we have the capability of producing content, but can we do it live? And it was a challenge. And I feel like we've really like refined our strategy with each show that we've done. We definitely had a lot of learnings from that, but those are digital ticketed events. So we are selling those. And so we know our audience is used to free content. And so we really look at that and say like, how can we make this worth it? And like, how can we get them excited to buy this ticket because it's going to be something way bigger than what you would see for free. And I feel like that's kind of been also like the barometer for us there. So having that as like a thing that we've done has helped us translate into the in-person live events as well.
Yeah, that's a challenge when so much of your content is free, right? And then you're asking folks to pay. You want to really make it worth that payment and make it worth that investment. So it's a lot of conversation is like, how do we make this worth it? If we're going to charge people for something, how do we make it worth it? And so
our last big show, Smosh the Sitcom, that was live from TV City in LA, which is like, they shoot Dancing with the Stars there. Like it's a big place. And so that doesn't mean much to our audience, but I think the format itself did, which was we realized in going through the process and being like really stressed out about it that we created a brand new thing accidentally, which was a sitcom where we split the cast in half and each character is played by two people. And so if someone laughs or breaks, they're replaced by the other person. We had a lot of fun with like casting people as opposites playing the same character and like making a parody of every sitcom ever. Got a little Seventh Heaven, PSA at the end. It took a turn, but yeah.
That one was all born out of our try not to laugh format.
Yeah.
Like that idea of like, all right, you try not to laugh. That's a great example of what you were asking about earlier, which is like the things that we've done, the legacy of like what's worked. We can take this element and thread it, use that as a kernel to have this entirely new massive format for a show that's a special live event. You know what I mean? It all kind of comes together in the wash, I think.
We love doing that. We love taking a kernel and
love it.
And suddenly you have the chosen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So many different follow-ups I want to ask. One quick business question. Are these events sponsored? Is that a revenue stream that you're able to tap into as well?
Sometimes they are. Yeah, I think it's been like show dependent. I think the first show we did, we had a camera partnership. And that was cool. integrated that in our pre-show where we had like surveillance cameras on the stages so they could see us all getting ready for the show that was about to happen. And that was fun. But yeah, I think, we've done a lot without sponsorships. We just like invested in them and made that like a big thing that we want to do to like create that flow of business. And I think it's been really effective.
Yeah, the creative drives it. So if we have the creative and then we can find a branded partner that works and feels organic, then we're all for it. We love camera and sound sponsorships, and
we really do.
We love deals. We love making those partnerships happen.
And we love having fun with them.
We do.
So, yeah.
Hint, hint. Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
So I want to give a little context to what you guys accomplished with the live event. Just for anyone in the audience who isn't aware, Just for Laughs is the biggest comedy festival in the world, probably. And especially, I mean, the New Faces is like the place for up and coming comedy talent. So it's huge that you guys were there. And also, Reddit Stories is one of the biggest podcasts in the world, is my understanding. I mean, certainly if you look at the leaderboard on YouTube and Spotify, it's always in the, top 10, maybe even top 5.
Always, yeah.
So, I mean, that is tremendous. And I think the fact that is also so successful on Spotify really shows how you guys have expanded beyond being a YouTube collective.
Yeah, that's really funny because, so that show is my baby, Reddit Stories. And, I just wanted to make it and it just accidentally did really well. And then people were like, you should post this every week. We're like, oh, I guess we can. And then people were like, oh, like, could you put it on Spotify? Cause like I want to listen to it on the go. And I was like, I guess we can. Like, and so to have it be like this successful is really funny to me. But
she doesn't give herself enough credit for that, honestly. Like Kiana's got a very keen mind in recognizing, what's going to work for the channel, but also, like listening to your gut and then following it through and executing it the way that it needs to be executed. I think, and learning, like looking at it holistically, taking feedback and then honing it until it becomes, what you want it to be. So
thank you. Yeah.
I think the studio thing may be a little bit more coincidental, but I think you need to give yourself more credit for Reddit Stories.
Yeah. Thank you. I will. I'll work on it.
Okay.
So out of curiosity, I mean, we talked about, I want to go back to what you were saying before about premium content and making it worthwhile for people to pay to access Smosh content. I mean, first of all, can you tell me a little bit about, like, what is the fan reaction when you guys put something out there that is paid in some way or paywalled? And how do you navigate that relationship?
It's mixed. I would say I've noticed something really interesting, which is that we get the negative sentiment around content, but less so with merch. And that's fascinating to me. So it's not like about, spending money necessarily, but like I think it's when it's something that you've historically gotten for free, it is tough to then suddenly have to pay for it. I get that. But I think that for us, it's always been the case that like, okay, now we've known out the gate, we have to make this worth their money and time. And for some people, like, it's never going to be worth it to them to pay for something they've gotten for free. And they will complain about it very loudly. But I think the people that show up and buy a ticket, we'll see like Reddit threads where they're like, oh my God, that was so worth it. It's the best thing they've ever done. Like, and that always helps to boost momentum and like builds trust for future projects. So we kind of rely on that. And obviously like the reach we get on a paid ticketed event is nothing like a free YouTube video, but like to have people show up and purchase a ticket to engage anyway is like, that's a significant like number that we like really value.
Yeah, I think it is. It's just making it an experience so that afterwards they say, oh, that was worth the ticket price. Cause the next day on Reddit, you're going to have a bunch of people going, I'm thinking about buying a ticket after the fact. Was this worth it? Yeah. You're going to see that. And so you just better hope that you see a whole list of comments saying, yeah, man, it was such a good, they did this thing and I've never seen this before. And they did a pre-show, and a post-show, or they did it, we work with Kizweez, one of our streaming partners, to create interactive elements sometimes, right? We're like, hey, this person's fate is going to be decided by you, the audience, using this poll. Right?
Yeah, and that's something that we use to incentivize live appointment viewing versus just watching the VOD later. We'll make the show interactive. So obviously, like, if you're watching live, you can be a part of that. If you're watching it later, you're now just, like, watching what happened. But we've done a lot of that fan integration. Like, we did Anthony's funeral roast. We had a funeral roast series. And when Anthony came back, we were like, well, we have to get you in that casket that we have. And we basically, like, had a bunch of people roast him. And it's, like, different characters, different, other creators, but we had Angela be possessed by the chat. So we had a QR code earlier in the show where we could have fans submit roasts, and we gave them like a template of like a joke setup essentially and like fill in the blank. And so Angela was reading her possession off of an iPad that we had people in the other room like frantically like reading a spreadsheet of submissions and creating this roast for her. So like that's something you only get if you're tuned in live.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So just to be clear, so when you do a live show like the sold out show you guys did in Montreal, obviously you want more than 1,400 people to be able to consume this. Is the video simply just cut and posted exactly as it is, or do you guys edit that and like turn it into more of a traditional Smosh video?
It depends on the performance. So some of them we stream live. The ones in Montreal, because we had an exclusive to perform there in Montreal, JFL was like, no, we are not going to stream this. No, we did capture. So I think we used 6 cameras, working with a Canadian company to capture. They delivered us the files, and we have those. We have the files.
And
so
we could do something with them.
We could maybe do something with them. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so in that case, since it wasn't streamed, we'll edit them like we do a, traditional video in our pipeline and potentially release that like as a VOD option, depending on, what we end up doing with it. For a show like We're All Gonna Die, which has been an ongoing series, we live stream and we live switch. We've got a live switcher there at the theater working with the technical director and a producer in the booth. So making sure that it's good to see in person, but that it's also showing up on stream, that the sound is good. And it's a live broadcast.
Yeah.
And that live broadcast is through Kiswee's platform?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yep. Yeah.
So we talked about navigating audiences' expectations in terms of what is paid and what is free. Let's go a little bit more into that relationship with the fans. I mean, Smosh has a lot of fans, and I'm sure they're vocal fans.
Yes.
So how do you guys incorporate audience feedback? And like, and I'm interested in both directions. I mean, are there cases where you are accepting feedback? Are there cases where you're pushing back against it? Tell me about that.
Yeah, I would say that like there's a healthy balance of like reading the comments versus not. I'll take one for the team. I feel like that's my job to at least be the one that sees things. And I think also like for almost 7 years, like I can kind of predict a lot of things now and like assume certain things. So like, there have been times where we'll have a video where someone's drawing and people have been like, oh, I want that on a t-shirt. So now if there's a video that comes up and there's like a really cool drawing, I'm like, hey, can we like see what it would be like to like launch this and like have a t-shirt ready to go that we launch in the store? And then people have been like, oh my God, you did it. And it's like, yeah, cause like we were able to meet them there and kind of predict what they want. I think it's like we take all feedback with a grain of salt and we, apply it against that company mission statement of, does this align with what we want? But there have been shows in the past too. We had a show that we sunset called Eat It or Eat It, where we would get a ton of comments about that one for like themes or recipes. And I would get super inspired and be like, hey, we could do this. And I would take that back. And it's always fun when we can like credit the audience for that too. Like if it was like, if we're taking ideas straight from a comment, it's like, thank you this person for this really specific comment. We're doing it. And so I think that's rewarding for them too.
We're fortunate that most of our fans are really nice. That's nice. It's kind of a gift.
Yeah.
I think this day and age, it's like, even if we take a dark week or whatever, usually we'll plan that after a big event or something or right before a big event. And there's always like one or two people like, oh man, I was expecting, this post. And then I'm always shocked because we have people that are like, they deserve breaks too. And it's like, oh, you're right. But thank you
so much.
Thank you. Because it's like,
yes, I do.
So we get our fans are protective and very passionate. So yeah.
The light side of the parasocial relationship.
Yeah. I was surprised.
I'm into it.
Yeah, me too.
So, okay. So interesting. So that question was about fan feedback. Now I want to hear about how you balance the different opinions of internal stakeholders. I mean, you guys are the experts. You're defining the content strategy at a high level. The on-screen talent, I'm sure, has their own opinions about what they can do best and what they want to do. And then even beyond, I mean, I'm thinking out loud, but I imagine you guys have a CFO and like finance people and
You would
sales
think.
people.
We don't actually.
Oh, well, never mind. I didn't do my research, but you have people more on like the sales
Yeah,
number side
for sure,
who also
for sure.
have their own kind of needs and desires. How do you
Yeah.
balance all of those?
Yeah, I think we've done a really good job of staffing up and creating lanes for people and channels for like where feedback is the most appropriate. There were times I worked here where we didn't have that. So I think it's been great that we've been able to grow and expand in a way that allows for, some separation of like, hey, this is my job, this is your job, but also here's this very specific time where you can pitch an idea to me and like we'll take it and we'll pay you for that idea. Like if it's not your job, like, hey, like, we had a production assistant or coordinator at the time who pitched a show to us called Culinary Crimes. And now it's one of our big shows on the Pit channel, and now he's on my team and a full-time creative. So.
And he is directing that show.
Yeah. So, to go from like being a PA at the company to coordinator to pitching this idea at like a very specified time to like having this growth, I think is really awesome. So.
Yeah. I'm big on lanes. I think that, one of the great things about our company is that they say like free and independent Smosh. That's true. We're a self-sustained company, right? So we don't have, a ton of like external stakeholders. It's Ian, Anthony, Allie, and the leadership team. So, that's very nice. I think that it's very collaborative there. And I think that, one thing that we've worked on in the last like 2 years and a little, beyond, but as the company sort of, evolved into this era that we're in now, it's like it's not mean to say, here's my lane and here's what I am responsible for and here's what you're doing. And are we clear on like who's doing what? Because otherwise, it's harder. It's harder because it's like, oh, I already did that. And now you spent 8 hours doing the same thing. And, it's just like that clarity and having some of those conversations at the top at the kickoff of a project, I think has been very helpful. And then like Kiana said, it's a great space and that, we solicit feedback frequently. We have really regular, employee feedback forums, talent feedback forums, but they're at scheduled times now, right? So that makes it easier to get that feedback and then look at it and be very fair, right? And say, all right, is this something that we can we're hearing it, right? And then like how do we accommodate that? Can we accommodate that? And then there's another one scheduled so that we can circle back and live up to our side as leaders and say, this is what we did based on what your feedback was. I think otherwise people just feel like they're screaming into a void.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know you said that your fans are really nice, but even nice fans will have needs that are they'll have goals that are not necessarily aligned with yours. Like, for example, your fans really want to know what's coming next, and they're going to be spoiling stuff and leaking stuff. And yeah, I mean, I'm curious, like, how do you, if situations like that arise, how do you manage that and those expectations?
Oh, like
turn it into a gift.
Yeah, like theoretically, like if, you spent 2 years developing the return of like a really big tentpole format and you taped up everyone's phones on set so that no photos could be taken and you used disposable cameras to capture content so nothing could be leaked, only for the social team to film a TikTok with the title of the series that everyone was waiting for to come back in the background. What do you do then? No, I mean, like, I kept joking, like, I'm in my Serenity Prayer era, like, I can't control that. So, the team made a joke about it and they sent me a bunch of other really dumb signs that they could put in the back of videos and like the lead up to it. And it kind of became like a game and an open secret. They're like, are they trolling us? I can't tell. And it's like, well, yes, we are, but like we're both having fun with this now. So like if the first one, like the real leak said SSG, which stands for Smosh Summer Games. And then, I was like, Erica, we could just do like every season. Erica is our social director. I was like, Smosh Autumn Games, like Smosh like Winter Games, the sequel, like, and we just put things very small because we knew people were zooming into the backgrounds clearly. So, they're eager for information and they'll seek it out. And we learn from that, and so we're going to adjust our, show coding system moving forward. But, we had fun with that.
We're scrappy.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a scrappy approach. So in that, it's like we could have just panicked and just taken the video down and said nothing. And instead, that social team created an opportunity. And that opportunity was we're going to pull the video down, let people speculate, put up a new video that's edited, let them speculate. Then we're going to joke about it and we're going to make more content. And then people are really speculating and they're really building anticipation for this thing now.
Yeah.
And, you capitalize on what was an oopsie,
right.
but
It's basically a guerrilla marketing
Some
campaign.
people did, some people did comment saying that they felt emotionally manipulated. And I was like, okay, well, just like give it a week. I promise we'll deliver. We would never be that mean.
But it looked concerted enough that then people were speculating that the initial leak had been intentional.
It was a plan all along. And you know what? Can't confirm or deny.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, you just try to get creative. And, that being said, we're also very careful. Believe it or not, we're very careful on set to make sure there's
we taped up phones for that show. Like we had like stickers that covered the cameras. So like no one can make an oopsie. Yep. We also were shooting at a school that we thought was going to be empty and it wasn't. And there were people that definitely got wrecked. There's a fire alarm that went off.
Yeah.
And they were shooting at a school is not a phrase I normally hear.
Right. And I'm so sorry for that. We were filming at a school.
Yeah. We're filming in this big event on location and, to really make it authentic, they decided to do a fire drill, while we were in the middle of shooting.
There were like several like different like academic groups meeting. There was like something happening on the sports field. And this is the day we shot our trailer and Ian, like it was 2005 theme. So Ian's like in a 2005 Ian wig and outfit.
He was so mad.
He was so mad. And he's like we're like, we have to evacuate. So we're like going into the general population
I just
area.
come yelling. I'm like, out, down the stairs. Like I went full principal. On them, and everything was fine. And we would have all lived. We were very efficient.
Yeah. You said fire marshal when you listed your, responsibilities at the beginning of this talk.
She is actually like our official safety officer. One thing we're going to do is be safe on set.
Yeah.
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 Respect.
Safety meetings.
Means a lot.
Well, with regard to what you were saying about emotional manipulation, not everyone would like me saying this, but I've written about media and marketing for 5 years and advertising, and that's all it is to some extent. I mean, maybe you guys were doing that, but I think you were really just executing a good marketing
We were just having a silly, goofy
time.
with a mistake we made.
I do want to turn to that. I guess we still have a few more minutes, and advertising and marketing and brands are a really interesting part of this ecosystem. So I want to quickly touch on the topic of brand safety. This is something that I've written about a lot over the last year. Especially in the creator space and in the live streaming creator space, I think advertisers are less wary of things not being fully in their control anymore. I think there's an understanding that live production is going to have some chaos, but also that fans like that and want that. And it doesn't reflect negatively on an advertiser if there is, an unexpected moment. Just to, open it up to you guys. What is your current approach to brand safety with regard to the content you make and how you factor brands' desires into the production?
Yeah. So for like overall brand safety at our core, obviously like YouTube is the core of our business and we have a really deep relationship with people there. And so we're getting constant feedback and updates on, content guidelines, what's our line. And so that's at the core of any content that we produce. And we have a team that gets a lot of messages of like, can we say this in a video? Do we have to bleep insert new curse word that someone just invented? And it's like, I don't know. Let's find out. So I think like having those checks and balances definitely helps us be in a space to where if we're doing a branded partnership, like we're already set up for success. And obviously different brands have their parameters of like what they'd like to see, but we're in a place right now where we're working with brands that get it. And I don't think we'd be willing to compromise like our creative integrity or like, the point of like, hey, no cursing in this video. It's like, we could try, but like, I think our fans would be like, what's this video? And something's off here. I can't put my finger on it. So I think it's like brands having that trust in us to know like, we'll sell your content in the best way. If you trust us. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like the more you do, the more you can do, right? Like I think have earned that trust by this point. We have proven metrics that we can send showing engagement and, showing here's why, this is a good partnership. In terms of safety, like, back to safety on set. But like if you have, having people's eyes on set to say like, hey, we're doing this, shoe partnership. we can't have, a Nike brand here. So like keeping an eye on a wardrobe, what people are wearing, any comments that might be made, having a couple people on set or, Chloe, our like brand manager there to kind of make sure that everything's copacetic, even the production team keeping an eye on things and being like, hey, I don't know if this really fits with what they're going for, anybody that is knowledgeable, having those people in the room before you film is crucial, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say even just for general content, we've built such a strong system of like if you see something, say something. Like if anyone on the team on set, or if you're editing a video, or if you're QCing that video and you're like, hey, this is like, I don't know if this is bad, but for me, here's my experience and I wouldn't say this thing, anyone's welcome to like raise a flag like that at any time. And so I think that helps keep the entire company accountable.
There's also a lot of trust, I think, from the talent. And, the people that are anybody that's on screen, that's audience facing, they trust that we want them to look, everybody wants them to like look and sound as good as possible, right? We want them to be as funny as possible, to look as like kind as possible. And they are all kind, funny people. So that helps. But it's also knowing that like, hey, they don't get, creative cut. They don't get to review a video before we post it, right? That's hard. They're improvising. They're saying the first thing that comes to their minds. Yeah. So, they're coming in and they're playing, and, we're trusting them to execute a creative vision and to play with each other and to bring that energy. And they're trusting us that when we post them, that we're doing it because we think that they did a great job, So I think that you kind of earn trust with each other throughout.
So just to build on that, and really quickly, we probably have enough time for one more question. Mm-hmm. You have all these different stakeholders who have their own desires for like the content, but you guys are also a very heavily data informed company as well. So at what stage of the process do you look at the numbers and factor that into your content decisions? Because I know, speaking to a lot of video creatives myself, that they don't always like when people look at the numbers.
Yeah. So we have a good balance, I would say. There have been times where we've been more data heavy. But right now we're in a place of, prioritizing if we like the content that we're making, if we're having a good time, and then we look at shows holistically and we look at, how they perform in the first 24 hours compared against each other. And that's just like, here's a fact, and we'll take that and do what we will. But we're also like looking at series as a whole, like what are the trends and like retention? Like, are we seeing like repeated segments where there's drop off across different episodes, So we look at those to help inform the creative, less so to like dictate whether or not we're making said creative.
Yeah, it's satisfying in this facet of the industry because your feedback is pretty quick. You don't have to say like, another thing I was telling you about 3 years ago, it's here. Now we can look at it. It's like we can learn, and we postmortem everything we do. So we do a full shoot week, and then the following week we have a meeting where you say what worked, what didn't work.
And everyone's invited to that table, like from camera to sound to producers.
Art department, everybody's there to say, hey, we could have used more lead time on this thing. Or, we got to set, the expectation was different. How do we learn as fast as we can? And then implementing change from those mistakes. How do we do it, right? And so I think that that's part of those analytics. I think if we love a piece of programming and it's not performing, but we love it, it's like, all right, how do we get it there? How do we get other people as excited about it as we are, right? What does that mean? We need to adjust our marketing next time and have more lead time? Do we need to invest in something that's more visually eye-popping on camera? Would the edit be more dynamic if we added a top-down camera to show gameplay, right? Would that give the editors more to play with? Like, it's kind of assessing there and just basically saying like, what do we need to do to hype this up enough that people also love it as much as we do?
Yeah.
Understood.
Yeah.
Okay, lightning round. What's your favorite Smosh video or piece of content?
Oh my God.
Period. Of all time.
Just because I thought of it when we were talking about videos that didn't do well the first time around. I made the Smosh Monster Dog show a couple years ago, and it went so well on set. We had like no accidents, and we had all these dogs on set, and like it flopped in the beginning. And we were like, this is our annual thing, and we just brought it back this year and did really well this time. So it just needed time, but
love it.
The blueprint was there.
Currently, I love We're All Gonna Die. I think it's super fun and really dynamic, and that's our new piece of programming that we're doing, and it's recurring. I love the live show element with the streaming. archival. I love almost any time we have like a try not to laugh between two characters on the Smosh Mouth stage. So like Sarah Christ, Try Not to Laugh, The Chosen's Try Not to Laugh, which they showed a clip from on this. I think they just get me in my giggles. Yeah, they make me laugh.
Well, I think that perfectly puts us at 45 minutes. So Kiana, Amanda, thank you so much for the really interesting
Thank you,
conversation.
Alex.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys for coming.